guys, happy Wednesday. Today I'm going to be showing you 3 different thrift flips. I don't really do thrift flips on my channel, so I decided to kind of switch it up, but also I partnered up with Home Depot and their Perspective program to show you some more about these 3 different Dremel tools and give you the chance to win all 3 at the end of the video. I went thrifting a couple of weeks ago actually and just now got around to these different DIYs. The first guy I found was this wine rack, and it's cute as is, but there's definitely some stains. It clearly needed to be connected to something else because it has a spot for dowels to go, so I'm assuming this is a part of a like stackable thing. It also kind of looks like IKEA, but I could be totally wrong, and I scored it for $3 in total. For the first 2 projects, I'm actually not going to be using the Dremel. I'm going to be using all 3 on my last large flip. So the first thing I did with this one is just sand it down to get it nice and smooth and get rid of any ding marks or stains, you know, just get it nice and pretty. I decided to wood putty where you could see the screws. Looking back, I wouldn't have done this because how it dried, you can see the circle outline, but we're moving forward. I opened up where the dowel holes were originally, taped off my drill bit just to go down enough for some of the pegs that I have on hand, added some wood glue and hammered those into place because I'm going to be adding a top to this wine rack. The reason I wanted to add a top, I typically wouldn't do this if I was using it as a quote-unquote regular wine rack, but the more I worked on it, the more I was like, why can't we turn this into a hosting wine rack? To ensure all the debris was good and gone, I used a tack cloth to wipe it down entirely. I added some red pencil. You can use a regular pencil or chalk, whatever you want. Cut a piece of scrap wood I had on hand, a really nice plywood, and kind of just hammered that to transfer the red dot where those pegs are to the bottom of the board. And then I drilled through that halfway to be able to add it to the top later. I didn't want to leave this plain Jane, so I added a dab of hot glue and started to wrap per the weaving tutorial that actually Drew Scott did of Lone Fox Home to the wardrobe rack that we collaborated on here on my channel. I will link it for you because he explains it way better than I could, and we go into total depth over there. I'll timestamp it for you as well in the description below of that video. Not only did I think this would make this look a little bit more organic and add some texture, but I also just think it will transform it into being a completely new piece versus just adding a top and calling it a day. I am so sorry, I totally forgot to mention that before I did the weaving, I sprayed a polyurethane onto this wood to add a finish to it. You do want to make sure that you are protecting your wood. I was definitely inspired to turn this into a stool or something of some sort, but that's for a later DIY. I added some glue to the pre-drill holes on the bottom of that piece of wood and put it into place, and I also sanded down the edges to round them versus making them square. I recently discovered edge banding when I did that medicine cabinet shelving, and I really loved it, so I thought it would be smart to add it to the outside edge of this plywood, which the plywood looked fine with it being exposed how it was, and I think this is where I messed it up, but I could live with it. You just have to iron on the edge banding. I had to trim it down to size, and it just started looking a little bit like wavy and wonky, so I don't regret it, but I regret it. To finish this $3 thrift flip, I decided to add some cutting board oil to the top because I thought it would be a really fun idea if I had girlfriends over and we all brought different bottles of wine, and I can do a charcuterie, I hope I said that right, board on top, but have different wine options underneath and still just have like a one-stop shop versus, I don't know. I just thought it would be unique and cute, so whatever. I then discovered what I'm really going to be using it for, and that is nights in with my Derg, myself, and I. This is actually the Rach Babe special, I believe, because this is speaking my language on all sorts of different levels, and I am fully satisfied. Clearly, I'm looking a mess in this shot, but I did not care because I was like, you know what, this is a good idea, and I'm going to film the reality of what I'm going to be using it for, even if I look like a hot mess. On to the next DIY. For the second thrift flip, I found this magazine rack. This is like your basic run-of-the-mill magazine rack. I honestly feel like you can find these anywhere if you wanted to. And as I was looking at it, it wasn't necessarily me transforming it to be a magazine rack. I started thinking planter, and I know that's a little bit weird. Scored it for $6. Couldn't hurt to take it apart and try to figure something out. I started by using my multi-tool to remove those middle wood pieces. I ran the rounded edge through my table saw to straighten it out just to make it look a little bit more modern and sharp. To make it a planter, it obviously needs 4 sides to hold the plant within it. So I cut down the same piece of plywood that I used for the wine rack. It's a little bit of a nicer laminated one. Just glued that into place with some wood glue and clamped it. I did the same thing to the other side, and then I actually had this DIY rattan that Brian from Schmood and Drew Scott from Lone Fox collaborate on in a video. I'm going to link both of those videos for you down below and card them for you. And since that was just kind of laying around, I was like, another little bit of a thrift flip. It was excess, so I just stapled that into place to fill that blank hole. To make it look a little bit more chic and cleaned up, I decided to miter down some of this trim I had on hand at a 45-degree angle and wood glue and clamp them into place just to add a little bit of a finishing touch, if you will. To elevate this DIY to not just leave it on the ground, I decided to literally add legs to it. I would size down with the size of dowel that I did choose, but that can easily be replaced. I just pre-drilled some holes through the bottom all the way through the magazine rack base itself, and I glued those legs and let them sit for a minute, and then I flipped it over, added a screw through the top into the leg to secure it into place. I did have to buy the plant that went inside of this planter, so I did spend about $20 on this thrift flip, but still, I'm really excited with the outcome. For the third and final thrift flip, it is this really awesome chest that I found for $20. It definitely needed some TLC, so I just wanted to go in and naturally tackle this project without kind of committing to color or to exactly what I'm going to be doing to it. I wanted it to just hit me versus me trying to plan, because I loved it how it was, but I knew I needed to make a change. Before we dive into this DIY, I did want to tell you guys that one of you, US residents only, I'm so sorry, but you guys have the opportunity to win these 3 Dremel tools, and I will tell you exactly why you need it. No matter if you're renting, you own a home, whatever type of tenant you are, they're going to come in handy. All of the Dremel items that I'm about to show you and that you could potentially win are cord-free, portable, and super comfortable to use. Every one of these tools as well comes with a charger you can plug into the wall, or it's a USB compatible one that you plug into the base of the tool. First tool we are looking at is called the 4V Go, and this is the one that I think should be added to everybody's collection immediately. This is a push and go cordless screwdriver. When you want the screw to go into the wall, you would flip that lever with the arrow facing towards the Dremel sign. When you want to remove the screw, you're just gonna flip that lever back to you, and then when you want it off, you can place it into the middle. This comes with 7 different bits, and it has superior torque with 360 RPM to drive screws 2 times faster than comparable products that are in the market right now. As I mentioned before, this is a push and go screwdriver, so it starts with a simple push. The minute that I did that though, my screws did not go. They were pure rust dust, so there was just no way I was going to be able to remove the hinges, take the glass out where the brackets were. It just was not happening. So getting back to the DIY, because I want to show you how I am naturally using these tools throughout this process. Since I couldn't use that 4V Go to remove any of the screws because the screws were just in such bad shape, I went ahead and went in with an 80 grit to a 120 grit sandpaper and sanded down all of the wood to get like that white dusty look off of it. Oh, and I am not kidding you. I sanded for about 3 hours and it looked no different. When I pulled back, oh my God. Anyways, we're moving on because we got to get into the fine little divots where that white stain is still kind of lingering. And that is where the 4V rotary tool comes in. Oh, so handy. I love this just in my hand rotary tool because it's designed for beginner crafters and DIYers. Rotary tools always intimidate me, but this one makes me feel like I can actually use it and control it. I went in with a smaller sanding bit to get into the corners of the trim near the windows. You definitely don't want to hit the glass. Again, like I said, this was not what I wanted. I wanted to be able to remove the glass, but I didn't want to sacrifice breaking the glass because, you know, that's what your girl would do. It took me a little bit to get my hands steady, but once I did, this process was very easy. And another thing that I personally love, because it's cordless, it offers that freedom and flexibility to tackle jobs in and around the house kind of wherever, because you're not like depending on how far can the cord go, which way does this go? And it's so small that it can really fit to like whatever you're doing basically. When I was done sanding everything down, I wanted to cry, number one, and my hands were about to fall off because they felt like they were cramping in the weirdest way. That's when I whipped out my favorite tool because I use this for cleaning. It's called the Dremel Versa. I added the brush attachment to get into the nooks and crannies of the chest that had this crazy dust debris. It is just way faster than manual cleaning. The power scrubber tackles grease and grime, and it just takes the elbow out of elbow grease. It's this compact little versatile cleaning system that's waterproof so you can still clean with your favorite cleaning solutions. The accessories help you tackle multiple surfaces around the home. I'm clearly using it for a DIY, but for instance, I use it on my sinks, glass shower doors, even in the microwave, grout lines, especially grout lines. There's just really like never ending possibilities to clean with this thing now, which is actually kind of bad because I'm literally finding an excuse to use this any and every which way I can. On this DIY, how I am using it is there is like these little kind of this schmeg like just attached to the glass. So I put the glass cleaner attachment and just sprayed my like natural Truman's glass cleaner onto it and just went in with the scrubber and it took it right off in, I mean, it must have been 75% less time than what it would have normally taken me to like scratch it off with my little fingernails. These 3 Dremel tools are such a rad trio to add to your collection. So if you guys want your chance to win, be sure to subscribe to my channel, turn bell notifications on, comment down below that you did both of those things and what project you're thinking about tackling with these guys. Now that we are done making dust and debris, I went in with a tack cloth, cleaned up the entire chest, making sure that there was nothing before I went in and started to wipe on a paste wax. And this is where my heart kind of sank. Because right when I wiped it on, it was that dark walnut color. But again, this isn't for a space for me. This is a space for Paul. I E6000 some handles I found off of Amazon to the sides of the trunk, but obviously it's not to be used. It's just for decoration. I did a lock latch as well and then filled this puppy up. Paul has a lot of sports memorabilia, different cigar boxes that have been gifted to him, even these like little 3D printed Nike shoes of all the shoes he's had with Nike. We've never had a moment to decorate with them, so I thought this would be the perfect coffee table for his cigar lounge, and that way it just adds to the theme as well. And there you have it, 3 flips and 3 tools that you could potentially win. All the giveaway details are in the description box and repeated in a pinned comment as well. I will see you Sunday for another DIY.